Hello everybody, how are you going? And welcome to These Are the Best Beaches in Canada. Now look, I'm from Australia and we definitely are well renowned for having our beaches, even though Canada may take the coastline department of the coastline blue ribbon. But how do Canada's beaches compare? Because if you're just going by UK standards, they might be amazing. If you're going by Australian standards, they may be a question mark, because at least they're not stone.
If you're planning a family beach vacation this summer, spoiler alert, you don't need to head south to find the perfect spot. Just stay here. Canada is full of beautiful beaches right across the country. So for a look at some of the best sandy spots, including beaches you might never have heard of before, we have travel expert Natalie Preddy with us. Good morning.
Good morning.
Morning. So we're not hitting everywhere. We are showing you kind of 5 awesome spots.
Absolutely.
That you can check out. And first, this place really made headlines when we had some royalty visiting. We're going to Haida Gwaii.
Yes, Haida Gwaii and North Beach, and that is at the top of Graham Island, which is in the Queen Charlotte Islands. It is perfect for surfing. This is the place you want to go to surf, but also if you want some quiet time, it's perfect for isolation as well.
Okay, can we see it? Do we have some pictures?
Yes, there you go.
What?
Look, isn't it?
Oh, there we go. I mean, I must admit that looks pretty darn good, especially just having that perfect wilderness. It's not built up, it's not houses, it's not mansions right on it. I mean, to be fair, I don't know if announcing that there's going to be quiet time on national TV is what I believe this is going to be. It's going to be the best thing for this spot. I mean, at least this one does seem to be quite isolated, and so to get there is definitely going to be a little bit more difficult than it's worth for a lot of people. I mean, just to be, I guess, going via plane is going to be the most efficient way to go. And I guess also, I mean, she said that they don't have to travel south to what I can only assume is going to be the USA, but also if you don't travel south, surely that water is going to be very, very cold year round. I mean, yes, it's going to fluctuate bell curve throughout the year, but surely still, you are still on very high latitudes in comparison to even Australia. And I do want to see exactly where this is because, okay, so it's this first island. It's not too far up, but look, you're not even that far away from some serious snow up here. You are already cold because of Canada in terms of the kind of latitudes that I was talking about, but you go from Vancouver to all the way up to Alaska and it's halfway. So surely, I mean, I might be able to find out the water temperatures, but just knowing the water temperatures of anywhere that high, up way past Japan, up in way past Korea, halfway up Russia, is going to be the same height as what, the UK? Yeah, so if you're in the same height as the UK, and the UK isn't exactly renowned for its water temperatures, let alone its beaches as well, then it's not going to be the most warm, inviting experience unless you just got some serious wetsuiting, and to be fair, they did say it was for surfing, and so that's fair enough as well. But overall, whew, cold for me.
Okay, can we see it? Do we have some pictures?
Yes, there you go. Look, isn't it gorgeous? And this is where rainforest meets the ocean. It's such a stunning spot. And like I said, you can just sit here and be inspired. Write your next great novel on this beach.
Oh my gosh, you honestly could have told me these pictures were from the tropics and I would have believed you.
Yeah, no, absolutely not. This is right here in Canada, on the ocean, on the beautiful West Coast.
Oh, that's so pretty.
Yeah.
Okay, next we're going to hop a couple provinces.
Yes.
We're going to land in Manitoba. You got a hidden gem for us.
Yes, Little Lime Lake. Now, this place is very, very cool. So this is one of the best examples of what we call a marl lake.
Okay.
So that means that the bottom is all limestone. So the bottom's white, but when it gets really hot, the water turns, as you can see, this turquoise color, but it's like almost milky. So it's like you're swimming in milk, really. But
What? I mean, do I want that? I guess is the question that you have to ask yourself. Do I want to be swimming in milk? I mean, honestly, the color is unbelievable. I love the color, just that turquoise that often comes from glacial water and anything like this. I guess, like you said, the limestone component of it. But oh, just a photo like this, beautifully just split in half. I mean, I would love just like almost a DVD logo just to split it in half, just corner to corner. But my goodness, a little limestone lake. I guess it's not exactly going to be somewhere that you go for surfing, so to say, and that's what the last one did. And to be fair, that last one, if I can go all the way back to it, the waters looked pretty cold but pretty blue. I have to give them that it's a nice kind of gradient across that entire thing. It almost looks like you can walk out a decent way before it gets too dark in terms of it doesn't just drop off, and so you do get this nice build in terms of the surfing patterns. I mean, I will admit that as soon as she said Manitoba, I was a bit taken back because I went, oh, hang on a second, that's a fairly landlocked kind of province there, and unless you were going way up north, well past where anyone should be surfing for fun in the terms of the temperature, you were definitely going to be struggling to find a beach. But of course the lakes pull through. I do wonder, however, though, how many beaches does Canada even have? Because if Canada only only has 6 or 7, and these are the top 5, you kind of do have to be scraping the bottom of the barrel. To be fair though, it is certainly so far so good. They are absolutely delivering in this awesome landscape, and I guess really that's what it comes down to. It's the fact that they have the lakes. It's just a cheat code. It provides sheltered areas in terms of flat lakes, it provides wavy lakes if they're big enough, great lakes if they just want to be great, and everything else in between. I mean, very difficult to build in, but awesome nonetheless.
But really, really cool.
Oh my God.
And it is,
Awesome photography.
yeah, so it's right in the middle. It's about 5 hours north of Winnipeg. You can fish there with a fishing license, of course, catch a few crabs as well. But if you want to camp, you have to get special permission from the Cree. Otherwise, the closest campsite is about 45 minutes away.
Oh, worth the drive for sure.
Absolutely.
Okay, so speaking of worth the drive, 2
Yes.
hours outside of Toronto, we're hitting up a beach.
Yes, we're going to Crystal Beach is the town, and the beach is actually Bay Beach for those who are from the area. And that's in Fort Erie, right across from Buffalo. And this place actually, as you can see right there, beautiful white sand, miles and miles of sand. And there used to be an amusement park there from the late 1800s till 1989.
Wow, well 1989 is pretty darn recent, and especially given the area that it's in, I'm wondering why did they get rid of it? Because it's not like the other two that we've seen previously. I mean, it's the smack bang in the middle of everything. You got New York in terms of the state, Pennsylvania, and of course all of Canada right there as well, being Ontario. Ottawa is all of those big cities are just right there in terms of realistically access is for everyone. The other thing that these beaches are slowly doing is changing my opinion on the Canada's beaches, because from other videos I've seen that yes, they may have beaches, but they're quite coarse, they're quite shelly, they're quite large granules of sand, and they don't have that pure beachy, whitey sand, whatever you want to be calling it, that people often strive for in Australia, even though I reckon half of the yellow sand beaches are better anyway, let alone the black sand beaches in New Zealand. Whew, they're awesome as well. But this, for instance, is just, once again, built on a lake, which for some reason, they're beautiful, but they just don't seem to tick all the boxes in my mind about what you need. I mean, yes, you need water, yes, you need sand, but there's something about the sound of the ocean that adds to the experience of going to a beach, and I feel like this just won't cut it. Unless you're having a massive ferry go through and it just gives a bit of a ripple in the water, you're just not going to have that rolling sound, just the waves crashing. It's just not going to be the full experience, and I feel as though that's what you want. I mean, if that's all you've got, awesome. But if you can just find the area like this first one, if you can just get these rolling waves, it will truly feel like a beach then. However, coming back to the second one, the thing that caught me off guard, but is also awesome, is the fact that you need a license to fish. That's cool. But the closest campsite without a license and without permits or whatever you want to be calling it is 45 minutes away. And so you kind of can't have this just sudden flock of people there. I can only hope. I mean, yes, they're announcing it on TV, but really to be having permits and hopefully maximum numbers of allowable occupants in these parks and in these areas, it just makes it so they can actually stay pristine, unlike places that don't have them, because that is a very common occurrence in Australia, that someone finds this beach maybe, let's say 50 years ago or 40 years ago, and forever it was just this pristine area. They would go there once a year, no one was ever there, and then eventually everyone just starts knowing about it, and they just don't have the same appeal. And so it's awesome that if you just manufacture a limit by just not allowing people to stay there, the people that do get to stay there get the full experience. They're not just overcrowded and just getting run over by dirt bikes. No, they can actually be in touch with what they went for.
And this place actually, as you can see right there, beautiful white sand, miles and miles of sand. And there used to be an amusement park there from the late 1800s till 1989.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, but now it's a totally different vibe. We've got yoga on the beach. We've got lakeside dining. It's a really popular spot with those from Greater New York, also from Fort Erie, from Niagara Falls, and people from the GTA are now heading down there as well.
Okay, I feel like I'm going to be one of those people.
Yes, and the water is crystal clear, hence the name, right?
So cool. Okay, so now we're going to Quebec Beach near the St. Lawrence, near the Gulf of St. Lawrence.
So it's 20 kilometers north of Nova Scotia, and it's actually, in English, it's the Sandy Hook Beach on the Magdalen Islands. And this place attracts a lot, there we go, Havre Aubert Beach, and that's it in French, but it attracts a lot of sand artists. So the biggest and best sandcastle competition is on this island.
No way.
Yeah, so it's definitely a place to check out this summer. And the water gets really, really warm there, about 20 degrees Celsius in August.
What?
Yeah, it is a very, very I was going to say cool beach, but it's actually super warm.
It's a warm beach. That's not something you think of when you think Atlantic Ocean.
No, not at all.
Not at all, at all, at all. That just it blows my mind. How is that even possible for it to be that warm, that north in the Atlantic Ocean? I mean, really, I have all these stories, or that's all I've heard, but all these stories just of the freezing cold Atlantic, and I guess Pacific as well, but the Atlantic Ocean, the big fishing, or I guess the small fishing vessels that just have people going overboard and ropes tied to people and just never found again, all the glaciers and things like that. I mean, the Titanic, for instance, all these different stories of just this cold, 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 barren, frozen wasteland of an ocean. And apparently it's just not. That is awesome. I mean, once again, this is cool because it's just a real beach as well. And really, it doesn't get too much more isolated than that. Look at that, the Gulf of St. Lawrence. I'm not going to attempt to pronounce that beach in French, but my goodness, just in the middle of nowhere, once again, like the first one, having to fly up there. I can't even imagine that you can get a ferry. I mean, how far is it? I mean, I guess they would most likely go to the closest place, but let's just see. No, that is 80 kilometers. So yeah, even if it was to Prince Edward Island, which is already a fairly remote place on its own, there is no way that anything is going to be leaving from 200 kilometers away to come to this very remote place. It is interesting that it shares the sands and soils and color of PEI, and even the fact that the sandcastle building competition, I mean, that's an awesome little bit right there. Look at that, just jutting out. That's massive. How long is that? But the fact that these sandcastles are built on here, I mean, actually it's not too far, but still 6 kilometers jutting out into the middle of nowhere. We can see the true color of the sand in here. Awesome little spot, scarred land, but wow, still actually quite built up. There are quite a few houses on here, and so well done to these people in terms of if you want to live remote, there is not going to be too many more built up, awesome areas to live remote than the middle of WA. However, to be fair to Western Australia, even though this place may well hold the world championships in sandcastle making and even be a little bit red, there is no way it can compete with the volume and size and redness of WA. It's just unmatched. There is no way this tiny little island, even though it's made of sand, has anywhere near as much sand as WA does. That is the sandy desert, for goodness sake.
Speaking of areas in the Atlantic, we're heading right to Prince Edward Island.
And this is actually one of my mom's favorite beaches. Cavendish Beach is in Prince Edward Island National Park, which is on the northern coast of the island. One of the biggest sand dunes in the Atlantic, one of the biggest trail systems in the Atlantic, and the sand is white and soft and just gorgeous to walk along. You'll also find the Lucy Maud Montgomery heritage spot there, as well as Green Gables, and they have an annual music fest, which Carrie Underwood is headlining this year.
Oh my gosh, so cool. I can tell you like this one too, your voice changed when you talked about it.
Oh my goodness, I know, it's just, and my mom has so many pictures from there, and we were talking about this yesterday, and she says, oh, that sand is just gorgeous, the miles and miles of gorgeous sand there. She said, I can't wait to go back.
Honestly, looking at the photos that they have just showed us, if you told me that that was in Australia, especially that one right there, if you told me that that was in Australia, let's just say on the East Coast, sunrise, I would go, okay, sure, where? I don't exactly know where, but I would absolutely believe that it could be. It's just that, I don't know, I mean, I guess the foliage isn't exactly expected, but man, something about it, the ocean, the rolling waves, the way that, it just definitely, you can see the similarities. And that is the beautiful thing about the entire world. When you have just these deposits of nature, there's only so much variation all over the world, and so just to hear that it has awesome sand and the softness of the sand, like I said, my expectation for so much of the rest of the world's sand is to be quite coarse or quite pebbly or quite stony or quite shelly or whatever it may be, not to have that soft sandstone or sandy nature to it like Australia does and like what so many people come here to enjoy. But hearing her talk about all of these things, especially just having her mother's influence in there as well, and just going, okay, we also have Green Gables and all these things that just line up just to make it a both historical site but awesome site, a natural site and everything site where you can just truly enjoy, as long as it's not too crowded and not too polluted and not too all those kind of negative factors, as long as it's just maintained for years and generations to come. All of these spots will just maintain their awesomeness. I love it. It's ocean, it's water, it's sound, it's everything just all in one.